There are two types of people. Those who knew what they wanted to be since they were 12. Who picked a major, climbed a ladder, and now have a LinkedIn profile that tells a clean story. And then there's you. You can build a website. You can write. You're decent at design. You've sold things, managed projects, taught yourself video editing at 2 a.m. because you were curious. You've got skills scattered across 5 industries and exactly 0 of them add up to a job title. You're 30. Maybe 35. And while your friends are becoming senior directors of something specific, you're still trying to figure out what you actually do. People ask what your career is. You've learned to give a vague answer because the real answer takes too long and makes their eyes glaze over. Here's what nobody tells people like you. You're not behind. You're not lost. And the thing you've been treating as a liability might actually be your biggest competitive edge. Let me describe what's probably been happening. You start a job. It's interesting at first. You learn fast, faster than most people around you. Within 6 months, you've got the hang of it. Within a year, you're bored. Not lazy bored. Existentially bored. Like your brain is starving for something new. So you pivot. Or you add a side project. Or you quit entirely and try something different. And the cycle repeats. Your resume looks like a patchwork quilt. Different industries. Different roles. Gaps where you were freelancing, or traveling, or just trying to figure things out. Every time you apply for a job, you have to explain yourself. Justify the zigzag. Meanwhile, the world keeps telling you the same story. Pick a lane. Specialize. Become the go-to person for one thing. Depth beats breadth. The riches are in the niches. And part of you believes them. Part of you looks at your scattered skills and feels ashamed. Like you've wasted time. Like you should have figured this out by now. Your parents worry. Your partner doesn't fully get it. Your successful friends, the specialists, seem to have it together in a way you can't seem to crack. The worst part? You know you're capable. You've proven it over and over. But somehow that proof never adds up to a clear direction. What if I told you the problem isn't your path? What if the problem is that you've been measuring yourself against a map that was never designed for someone like you? Here's what's actually going on. The traditional career model, one skill, one ladder, one trajectory, was built for a different economy. A factory economy. An industrial economy. An economy where predictability was rewarded and deviation was risk. That economy is dying. Fast. The World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children entering primary school today will work in jobs that don't exist yet. The half-life of skills is shrinking. What you learn in your 20s may be obsolete by your 40s. And in that world, specialists are actually more vulnerable, not less. Here's the paradox nobody talks about. The person with one deep skill is efficient, until that skill becomes automated, outsourced, or irrelevant. The person with 5 medium-depth skills? They can adapt. They can combine. They can see connections that specialists miss because they're too deep in one silo to look around. Researchers call this skill stacking, the idea that combinations of above-average abilities can be more valuable than one exceptional ability. Think of it like cooking. A chef who's world-class at sauces but can't plate, can't manage a kitchen, and can't create a menu is limited. But a chef who's pretty good at sauces, pretty good at plating, understands flavor chemistry, and can also run a team? That chef opens restaurants. The same principle applies to careers. Scott Adams, the guy who created Dilbert, wrote about this. He wasn't the best cartoonist. He wasn't the funniest writer. He wasn't the most insightful business commentator. But he was top 25% in all 3. The combination was rare. The combination built an empire. I call people who operate this way portfolio professionals. Not generalists. That word sounds unfocused. Not specialists. That word sounds narrow. Portfolio professionals. People who curate a collection of skills and deploy them strategically, depending on context. Here's what the research shows about people like this. A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people with diverse professional experiences were more likely to generate creative solutions and adapt to novel problems. Their brains had more cross-domain connections, they could pull from multiple mental models instead of being locked into one way of seeing things. Another study on career mobility found that professionals who had worked across 3 or more industries were more likely to reach executive positions than those who stayed in one lane. Not less likely. More. The evidence points towards something that might surprise you: your scattered path isn't a bug. It's training. But, and this is the part that matters, being a portfolio professional only works if you learn to package it right. Because here's the hard truth: the world still speaks the language of specialists. Job applications, recruiters, networking, they're all built for people with clean stories. You have to learn to translate your messy story into something they can understand. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So here's the shift. You are not scattered. You are diversified. What looks like a lack of focus is actually a lack of permission to build something new instead of following something old. The specialist model worked when careers lasted 40 years and industries stayed stable. That world is gone. We're in an era of disruption, automation, and constant reinvention. The people who thrive won't be the ones who went deepest. They'll be the ones who can adapt fastest. And adaptation requires range. You have range. Every skill you've collected, every industry you've touched, every random thing you taught yourself because it seemed interesting at the time, those aren't detours. They're inventory. The problem was never your path. The problem was that nobody taught you how to build with what you've gathered. Think about it. The specialist plays one instrument. You're a one-person band. That's not a weakness, unless you try to audition for a symphony. Stop auditioning for symphonies. Start building stages where a one-person band is exactly what's needed. The world has enough people who do one thing well. It needs more people who can connect things that have never been connected before. You're not behind at 30. You're just now reaching the point where your portfolio starts to compound. The first half was collection. The second half is combination. Understanding you're a portfolio professional is step 1. Packaging yourself as one is step 2. Here are 3 tools that work. The skill stack statement: most people describe themselves by job title. You can't do that, your job title doesn't exist yet. So instead, you lead with your combination. Here's the formula: I help audience do outcome by combining skill 1, skill 2, and skill 3. Example: I help small businesses look bigger by combining brand strategy, web design, and content writing. You're not listing random skills. You're showing how they work together to solve a specific problem. Spend 30 minutes writing 5 versions of this statement. Test them on people. See which one makes their eyes light up. Why this works: people don't buy skills, they buy outcomes. The statement translates your scattered experience into something valuable and clear. What you'll notice: conversations about what you do become shorter and more engaging. People start saying, "Oh, I know someone who needs that." The bridge project method: if you don't have a clear direction, build a bridge instead of waiting for one to appear. A bridge project is something you create, not apply for, that combines at least 2 of your skills and produces a visible result. Maybe it's a YouTube series about an industry you know well, using your editing and writing skills. Maybe it's a consulting offer that packages your operations knowledge with your tech background. Maybe it's a product that exists at the intersection of 2 things you understand better than most. The project doesn't have to make money right away. It has to make your combination visible. Why this works: employers and clients can't see your potential. They can only see your proof. Bridge projects create proof that didn't exist before. What you'll notice: opportunities start finding you instead of the other way around. The project becomes a magnet. The anti-resume traditional resumes punish you. They highlight gaps, inconsistency, and lack of linear progression. So build an anti-resume instead. This is a 1-page document, or a personal site, that tells your story as a narrative of intentional breadth. It shows the through line between your experiences rather than listing them as disconnected jobs. Structure: start with your skill stack statement. Then list 3 to 5 chapters of your career, each framed as a skill or perspective you gained. End with what you're building now and who you help. Why this works: it reframes your zigzag as a strategy, not an accident. It gives hiring managers and clients a way to understand you that doesn't require them to decode a messy resume. What you'll notice: people stop asking, "Why did you leave X?" and start asking, "How did you learn all this?" And now, the most important part. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not a failed specialist. You're a portfolio professional who spent the first decade of your career gathering raw materials. Now it's time to build. You have permission to stop apologizing for your path. You have permission to stop trying to fit into boxes designed for people with simpler stories. You have permission to create a career that only makes sense for someone with your exact combination of skills, because that career didn't exist until you built it. I've put everything we covered, the skill stack statement, the bridge project method, and the anti-resume, into a free guide. It includes templates and examples. Links in the description. Take what works. Leave what doesn't. If you've ever wondered why you lose interest in things once you've mastered the basics, why the excitement fades and you need something new, watch this next. It explains the neuroscience of why some brains crave novelty more than others, and how to use that craving instead of fighting it. You're not 30 with no career. You're 30 with 5 careers waiting to be combined. Stop trying to pick one. Start building the one that only you can build.